In this scene, Dr. Chris is working with Jim, who was introduced in the first video in the series. She is helping him put it all together by reviewing his completed PST worksheet. She helps him to use the SSTA toolkit when he voices feeling overwhelmed and being upset. Jim uses a breathing app on his phone to help him slow down and turn down the volume of his negative arousal. They continue to focus on the worksheet and go through the various steps in the Planful Problem-Solving Toolkit with the goal of effectively managing the various problems that he is experiencing. Although Jim continues to struggle, he is beginning to learn how to apply the various EC-PST tools to better cope with the stresses in his life. Ultimately, he voices having a sense of empowerment, given that he now has a set of tools to deal with his negative feelings, stressful life situations, and sense of hopelessness.
So here's the worksheet I tried. I want to get my own place with my wife, my stepdaughter, rather than being dependent on her grandmother.
Okay, let's take a look at it.
My writing and spelling is terrible.
Okay, don't worry about that. So why don't you just read it to me so
Okay.
that I can get a sense of how your brain is working and thinking about this problem, and then I can be of help in applying the toolkit of planful problem solving to it.
I want my wife and I to have a place of our own, rather than to stay with her grandmother. Staying there just gets me upset. I don't feel like I have any say for anything in the house. I help out the old lady when she needs things, and I like helping her, but it's not like I have a choice. I can't take care of my family, so I take crap from everyone else, and as long as I'm there, it doesn't feel like I'm a man. I feel like, screw this.
Whoa, look at what's happening right now. You are getting aroused, your blood pressure's going up, your face is getting hot, you're speaking faster, and what that tells me is that you need to use one of the stop and slow down tools, because you're not going to be able to use that great brain of yours to think through this problem and to use the planful problem solving method unless you can kind of turn down the volume on those hot feelings, those hot emotions that are going to block you from being able to think it through. So, given that, do you remember the toolkit that we used called Stop and Slow Down?
But it's so upsetting, man. Have you ever felt this way?
You mean, am I a human being where sometimes my feelings and my emotions can get in the way of my planful problem solving? You bet, we all have. That's why we have to practice this toolkit. And the first thing to do is to notice that it's happening, just like it is with you right now. These are difficult problems. Of course you're going to feel this way. So what you need to do is allow the feelings in, but turn down the volume a bit so that you're able to think this through. So do you remember any of the techniques that we used in Stop and Slow Down that were helpful to you to just bring your feelings down to a manageable level so that you could use them to inform your problem solving?
Putting on my headphones and playing my breathing app.
Okay. Yep. That was useful, as I remember, to you when we went through that. So what I'd like you to do now is to close your eyes. Actually, this is your phone, right?
Right,
Okay. You can
okay.
use your phone, and to actually put on your earpiece and listen to that breathing app for 90 seconds. And I'm going to time you so that you don't have to worry about when is 90 seconds up. And I'm just going to suggest you use that app so we can turn down the volume just enough that we can actually continue with your worksheet. Okay? Good. Okay, Jim, we're at the 90-second mark, so when you're feeling comfortable, I'd like you to open your eyes and to put down your phone for a moment, since we're going to go back to your worksheet. But tell me, how are you doing? Okay, so good use of stop and slow down. You're able to turn down the volume on your feelings. Tell me a little bit what kind of feelings you did have, though, and let's use them to be able to continue on with the worksheet.
I'm so embarrassed and guilty that I can't provide a place for us. I'm jealous of other guys that can, and I'm so damn frustrated.
All valid and useful feelings. And now you're able to allow those feelings in and to use them to help go on to the next step rather than to have them overwhelm you and stop your planful problem-solving efforts. So, with that in mind, I think you're ready to move on. Do you have a specific goal in mind?
So the goal is to afford a place of our own, me and my wife and our kid.
Okay. Okay, sounds good. Let's take a look at your worksheet then and work on it together. Okay, great. Okay, so there's a number of ways you could go with this regarding your choice of a goal, but we're going to stick with the one that you just said, all right? And for now, let's go with that. And the first important question we have is this a realistic goal? As you look at this, is this a realistic goal?
I think so. It's something we both really want.
Well, it sounds like you're ready to move on to the next step then. So let's take a look and think of as many obstacles as you can to this goal. Because if you could easily do it, you would have done it already, right? So at this point, let's just start to look at some of those obstacles.
So the goal is to afford a place of our own, me and my wife and our kid. Right now, we can't afford it. My wife could work more hours, but we don't think her grandmother can watch the kids. She's too old, sort of forgetful, and she gets tired.
Okay, so I hear two obstacles in here. One is that you don't have enough money, and the second one is that you don't have affordable childcare that you can actually really depend on, okay, in terms of being able to do the job for you.
And who's going to care for her grandmother?
Okay, write that one down. If there's no one there, write that one down. Any other obstacles?
I get so down on myself because I think guys should be able to provide. When I can't, I give up and distract myself with video games instead of actually doing something productive.
Okay, so let's indicate on there also your strong opinion about what guys should be able to do and provide for their family. And also you can list losing motivation, okay? And maybe avoiding the problem by distracting yourself with video games. You can list that as well. Okay, so you think that's it, or is there anything else?
No, I think that's it.
Okay. Now remember, when we want to generate ideas, what we want to do is come up with as many as possible and not to judge any of them until we actually list as many things as we can think of. And it becomes really important to come up with ideas that not just get you closer to the goal, but that also get through some of these obstacles like care for the grandmother and money and childcare and all of that.
The first one was make a plan for getting our own place in 2 years when my stepdaughter goes to school. The second was to charge grandma money for what we do for her. But that's weird. After all, we're living there rent-free.
Well, let's stop right here, because one of the things I do is I hear you judging an alternative, right? I remember I said that one important brainstorming rule is not to judge an alternative until you've got them all down. Later on, you can weigh the pros and cons of each one, knock some out, and choose which ones are the best match for you. But in this case, what you want to do is you want to list as many as you possibly can so that you have as many creative ideas as possible.
Okay. My wife and I could take turns driving for Uber and Lyft at night, so one of us could watch the kid. Instead of gaming, I could start searching through our church website for affordable childcare. Now that I think of it, I could also ask Grandma's pastor about options for helping her when she's not doing so good. Maybe check into like a senior daycare, an organization that does childcare too. We could probably afford a tiny place of our own to start, rather than waiting to rent a house or a bigger place. I might have to change my attitude about not being a man because we need help. And my wife has to make money so we can save. I could put the damn video console away. I can ask my wife to help me think of ways to make extra money other than the Uber or Lyft. Maybe I could get a small loan to get us started through the city's vet program, or get a large loan from the VA like a mortgage and, buy a tiny place now. We could sell it later.
Okay, this is all great work, Jim. And you've thought of so many good ideas. And so now you know what you have to do, right? You're going to have to take this whole list home and review each one of these and look at it in terms of the pros and cons and how it impacts you in terms of your values, your time, the energy it takes to invest in that, how it might impact others in your life. And what's really important is that you remember as you go through them to think of at least one positive thing and one negative thing, so that you're able to look at both the pros and the cons of every single alternative. That's a little time consuming, but now you have a method for taking you through some very creative ideas to solve this very challenging problem.
After going through the list, I realized that there were so many positives to putting the gaming console away from me. I was feeling like I deserved it because I was feeling sorry for myself. As soon as I put it away, I realized that I could easily pick up some additional Uber shifts a few nights a week. On the days that I was out, my wife suggested adding to that idea by her making extra money taking care of her single girlfriend's baby while her girlfriend made extra money as a nurse's aide. She said one big pro for this is that in addition to getting extra money, our little girls who are friends would probably enjoy a sleepover. And while the kids were playing, she could check into affordable child and senior care if we moved out. This seemed like it would get us closer to getting our own place in less than a year. If we were real careful, and I could ask for some help from you on changing my attitude whenever it gets in the way.
So now I have a plan for making some real changes in my life. What I got out of this was learning a kind of method of how to go about making the changes. No one can give you all the answers, but we can learn some tools to discover some answers to make some decisions. It was like learning a new language. When I went to Mexico years back and picked up some Spanish, it was so much easier for me to find my way around and get what I wanted. It feels powerful to be able to know I can manage my brain and use the tools to do things differently.